What is going on, guys? It's PokePond back with another video for you. So much to talk about today. Obviously, we've got the new set that's come out, Phantasmal Flames. I'm really happy with that set. I think it's a fantastic investment, and we're going to do a deep dive into everything that I recommend doing with Mega Evolution era, Scarlet and Violet era, Sword and Shield era. If you're into your seal products, this is the video for you. And we're also catching a little bit of market manipulation in 4K. Make sure you subscribe down below to never miss an opportunity. Let's get into it. Let's start today off by talking about Phantasmal Flames. Obviously, Phantasmal Flames, if you don't know, came out on Friday of this week, which was the 14th, which was yesterday. And although a lot of people, particularly in the US, had a lot of product early, the release day, from my perspective, was one of the most successful release days that I've ever seen in Pokemon history. Certainly from over here in the UK, there was product available in lots of different places. There was no issue with supply. Everyone was super happy. I myself went round on launch day, running around all the different shops trying to buy some product and stuff like that, and it was actually super fun. Even though we had terrible weather and I was in the rain and stuff like that, it was actually super fun. Met some super cool people as well from my local area, and I haven't had a launch day like that kind of experience since back when Evolving Skies came out, like, what's that, nearly 4 years ago, something like that, just over 4 years ago. So super good release from my perspective. Seems to be lots of product around, and Phantasmal is an insane set. Really good. I'm really bullish on it as well. I've spent a lot of money buying product over the last sort of 24-48 hours. What I tend to do personally is I have sort of like a separate savings pot that I use for buying Pokemon product. I've been building that up for a little while, ready for the Phantasmal Flames release, and I've just spent all of it over the last sort of 24 hours, 48 hours. But I just really believe in Phantasmal Flames, and actually every single thing that I bought I managed to get for retail price as well. So I'm super happy about that. And let's have a little look at the data and see what's going on with prices. Obviously, secondary market is going to be a lot more expensive than retail price, but there was a lot of product around, certainly here in the UK. And from what I've seen online on social media and stuff like that, the US had a lot of product too. Even the secondary market, I think the prices aren't too bad at the moment. Obviously, they are inflated over retail though. Let's have a look at TCG Player. We won't look at previous data just because that was sort of pre-release, so people were paying for early shipments and stuff like that. But we can have a look at last sale, $305 for the booster box. Now that is really strong, and a really strong indication that there is a lot of demand for this set. The fact that people are willing to buy booster boxes for that kind of price on the secondary market. Now you do need to pay attention to the fact that that will be partly due to people like rip and shippers who just can't get enough product. They're just going to buy as much as they can for any price because they know that it's the hottest set, and they'll be going through thousands of packs over the next couple of weeks. So that is something to bear in mind. Do I think that prices are going to drop on Phantasmal Flames? Probably they're going to come down a little bit over the next week or two. It is also a split release as well, so we will be expecting to get more product. Not as big a wave as we did obviously yesterday, but we will be expecting more product to hit the market over the next couple of weeks as well. So that is something to bear in mind. Even if prices are a little bit high over the next couple of weeks, they are probably going to have another small dip in a few weeks when more product hits the market. Long term though, I think it's a fantastic set to invest into. It's one of the best sets that I've seen come out from Pokemon over the last couple of years. And I'm not saying it is the best, but it's up there. It really is. You've got some really nice chase cards. You've got two desirable Charizard chase cards as well that are going for some insane money right now. Anyway, Phantasmal Flames, I think, is an excellent set. Me personally, even with these higher secondary market prices, I'm probably going to continue to buy into it over the next couple of months at least. But I'm also building up a little bit of reserve in that sort of Poke Bank, as I like to call it, ready for some of the next sets coming as well. Because Mega Evolution, the era as a whole, they're smashing it out of the park, and I think that they will continue to as well. We're expecting to see 2 more Mega Evolution mainline sets after this as well, and potentially 2 holiday sets as well. So I can't wait to see what's coming, and I desperately need to scramble to sort of build up a bit of a balance ready for those sets coming as well. But I'm buying more product than I ever have at the moment, and there's a lot of talk online obviously about prices crashing and that kind of thing. I don't see it happening. We've talked a lot about it on this channel over the last couple of weeks, that we expect to see over the next few months a little bit of a bleed on some of the older sets, a price correction down 10 to 15% at the max, but that being quite temporary. We're actually going to talk a little bit later on in the episode about Sword and Shield once we go through the Scarlet and Violet and the Mega Evolution era, because I'm actually catching a bit of market manipulation happening in 4K, and I think I'm the first one to talk about it on YouTube, and I'm putting my neck on the line. And I'll just briefly say now, I'll get more into it later on in this episode once we get to Sword and Shield, but I think there's going to be a massive movement on Sword and Shield coming up very, very soon. But we're going to get down to that in a moment. Let's then just have a look at some of the prices for Mega Evolutions and Scarlet and Violet, and I'll tell you my opinions on what's going on with everything there. So 305 last sold on TCG Player for Phantasmal Flames. Last sold eBay US $300 for the box, or 2 for $550, which seems like a deal when a loose one's going for $300. That's mad that it's going for $300 the day after release. This was actually sold on release day, and they had that in hand. That is the most expensive booster box, to my knowledge, over the last 10 years on release day on the secondary market. Everyone is so behind this set. It is a brilliant set. I do say that you should probably tread with a bit of caution, because like I said, this era is insane, and I think there's going to be some more even more insane sets coming over the next 1-2 sets to come out of this era. So that will take a little bit of heat off of Phantasmal if that comes true. But Phantasmal is a brilliant set, and I think things are shaping up that everything in this Mega Evolution block is just going to be like gold in a couple of years' time. I think that it's going to be not just the sets that are desirable, just anything in this era is just going to the moon. They really are smashing it out of the park with this sort of pseudo sort of mini era of 4 sets and 2 holiday sets, which is what it's going to look like at the moment. Perhaps they'll extend it on. I'd love them to do a full era and we end up with 10, 12 sets or something like that. That would be absolutely insane, but I don't think it's going to happen, because obviously they're going to need to bring out the generation 10 of Pokemon as well, which is probably going to be looking like spring 2027. So Mega Evolution is probably going to run all throughout 2026, and then start 2027 I expect the new era to come, all the new Pokemon, and targeting sort of like the new generation of kids as well. Let's have a look at prices in the UK. If you're new to the channel, we look at US and UK prices. Obviously, US is the biggest English card market for Pokemon, and I'm UK based as well. And it's our roots. We started off as very much a UK channel, and I've got a lot of UK followers on here as well. So we look at both US and UK prices for everything. So wherever you are in the world, hopefully you will get something out of this. Last sold in the UK, 203 quid with a little bit of postage. That's the cheapest I've seen it. Partly due to the fact that obviously lots of people got their product yesterday, so there's more people that are sort of scalping and dumping onto the market. That is really cheap. The last few days, cheapest that was like, even yesterday the cheapest was like 215, 220 with postage. So that is a really good price. If you haven't managed to get a booster box, I actually haven't managed to get any booster boxes. I've got everything else. I've managed to get ETBs, loose packs. I managed to get the massive Charizard UPC as well, which I'm super happy about. But I haven't managed to get any booster boxes. Like I said, Pokebank is kind of dry right now. If I had more money right now, I would definitely be scooping up some of these booster boxes for this price, because there's no way, in my opinion, if you put that away for a couple of years, that isn't going to increase in value quite significantly. I think that it's a great opportunity to buy in and get some of these minty boxes for a very, very reasonable price. Let's then talk about Mega Evolution, since we're talking about the Mega Evolution era. Actually coming down in price a tiny bit, it looks like, on TCG Player. So last week average price was $255, and we're seeing sales now of $240. But then another sale this morning for like $270. So it's like, it depends which you want to look at. If you average out the prices, we're probably at about the same. We're probably flat. And even if you go on last sold 240, we've come down a little bit in price, but we're still way, way, way over retail. Still a super, super desirable set. And it's going to be interesting now that some of the focus is going off of Mega Evolution and onto Phantasmal Flames. And obviously more of that's going to happen as time goes on and we get more sets in the era. I think that people are going to forget a little bit about Mega Evolution, but I feel like it's still going to hold over retail. I feel like they could print a lot of Mega Evolution and it's still going to do really well, because the way I see it is, even if the hype moves on to Phantasmal, that's just going to pump Phantasmal prices and people are going to get priced out of it and come back to Mega. So I think that there will still always be a demand for Mega Evolution base, and I think it's a great buy even at these prices on the secondary market. I've been doing this a long time now, nearly 10 years since XY Evolution. I've been putting away sealed product, and I can tell you guys that you're going to look back at these prices, like Mega Evolution for 240. Look back in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, once it's well out of print, and I think it will be easily 500 plus a box, and you'll be kicking yourself for not loading up as many as possible at this point. That is my honest opinion on this product. And the whole Mega Evolution era as a whole, even though we've only seen 2 sets so far. Last sold in the US, $235 for the enhanced booster box, with the bundles there going on auction from Australia for $40. Another one going for $43. There's a Phantasmal ETB there going for right on $100. That's kind of crazy. Imported from the UK as well. Lots of international arbitrage going on at the moment on eBay, especially, with lots of product dropping over the last day. Last sold in the UK, £203. That's actually a Phantasmal. That's the problem when you search for Mega Evolution. It's going to bring up Phantasmal as well. Here we go. Enhanced going for $237. That is really cheap, actually, for an enhanced one in the UK. There's another one here for $235 with a bit of postage, $240 all in. The enhanced ones are a lot harder to find here over in Europe. That's not the case in the US. It seems like most of your boxes are enhanced ones. Kind of the same story that happened with Journey Together. $235 is really, really cheap. New listing tag on whoever bought that out. Basically, they just knew their prices, knew that was a good deal, bought that out straight away. A couple of weeks ago, you couldn't get one for cheaper than $270, an enhanced one. So, yeah, really strong to see a bit of a price reduction in them. That's partly because some people were just buying them out. People were definitely making plays over here in the EU, buying out all the enhanced ones. I know for a fact some content creators in the UK that were actively buying them out and putting on social media that they were buying them out as well. So it just became a bit of a vicious circle, and it pumped the price of the enhanced ones right up to $285. So it's really nice to see them correct back down to around about that $235 range, which I think is decent. And then you can see, no, that's a Phantasmal Flames. Let's try and find a normal one for sale. Here we go, normal one, $208. So for an extra, what, 20 quid, something like that, with postage, 25 quid, you can get the enhanced one. Obviously the promo is going for about that anyway, 20 to 25 quid plus. So I would recommend getting the enhanced one if you can get a good deal on it over here in the EU. Let's then move on to Destined Rivals. My personal favourite set in the Scarlet and Violet era. and has now taken the crown. I can now officially say that Destined Rivals is the most expensive Scarlet and Violet booster box. We've been calling for it to happen for the last sort of month or so. We predicted that it was going to happen. To be honest, even before the set came out, I was telling you guys that Destined Rivals is going to be #1. So many people online, so many influencers and PokeTubers and wannabe investment PokeTubers said that it was a garbage set and it's overhyped and it won't do well. Well, one of the newest sets out of the gate, and now the most expensive box. It is now eclipsed and taken over Paldea Evolved as the most expensive box. But we'll go into Paldea Evolved prices in a moment. Destined Rivals holding strong at $380 and has been for the last few weeks. Seems to be pretty crash resistant at the moment, despite what some people might tell you. Last week it was at 376 on the averages. This week it is at 389, so it's actually up $13. 13 on 376. Destined Rivals up a little light, 3.5%, 3.4%. Really positive. Just positive to see it hold way over retail. Destined Rivals is going to be one of those sets that time goes by so fast in this hobby. It really does. I can't believe I've been in it for 10 years doing this. Before you know it, Destined Rivals will be out of print. I'm telling you now. We will be looking back and still making these videos like we do each and every week for you, each and every Saturday, and we will start talking about, oh, Destined Rivals is out of print now. Oh, look, Destined Rivals is 500 a box now. Oh, Destined Rivals is like pushing 1,000 a box now. All of these things I'm very confident will happen in the future. How long it will take, I don't know. We are talking multiple years though, most likely. So just be realistic with your time frames. You're not going to get rich overnight buying Destined Rivals for $400 a box now. However, if you buy it now and you put it away for multiple years in the back of a cupboard or something like that, and you set it and forget it, I think you'll do very well over the next coming years. Like I said, it's already surpassed every other box in the Scarlet and Violet era, and it hasn't had enough time to run. And that's when supply, there's been quite a lot of supply on the secondary market as well. That's only going to become less over time. Reprints, we can talk about reprints, everyone's favorite word in this hobby. Do I expect to see reprints of Destined Rivals? Yes. Do I expect to see mass reprints of Destined Rivals? No. Even if they do try and print it into the ground, I think we're very much going to see a Prismatic Evolutions situation where it just does not shift below a certain price point. It just never goes back down to retail. Even if there are pallets and pallets of it around, I think that the secondary market will just eat all of them up very quickly as well. I think that Destined Rivals will continue to be the #1 for a very long time. It is possible that one of the other sets will eclipse it given enough time, but Destined Rivals is always going to be a top 3 set in Scarlet and Violet, in my opinion. And a lot of people don't like saying that, and I don't know why. Even some of the real big guys that have been doing this a lot longer than I have, you know, like the real godfathers of Pokemon sealed investment, you guys know who I'm talking about. Even he will say that he can't predict what the best sets will be of like this Scarlet and Violet era. Well, I'm sorry, I'm more than happy to predict them for you. It is going to be Destined Rivals, Prismatic Evolution, 151, and Paldea Fates. It's as simple as that. Yes, I've only named one booster box set in that, but I don't need to like name more booster box sets. Like I've just named you the top 4 sets of the era. Which order they'll be in is, you know, negotiable, but who cares? Do you know what I mean? Like if you put away Destined Rivals now for $400, even if we do see mass reprints and it drops down to 300, 250, which I don't think it ever will, but if it does, it doesn't matter. If you put it away, you wait for multiple years, there's no way, in my opinion, once this is out of print, it's not going to be more than $400. And no way, in my opinion. Anyway, let's have a look at prices. Last sold in the US, $380. Now, this is very important to talk about, this $380 last sold, because if we have a look at last sold on here, on TCG Player, it's at $390. Last sold on TCG Player for Paldea Evolved is also $390, so they're neck and neck. But actually, when you look at last sold on eBay, Destiny Rivals is holding true to that with 380 last sold. Last sold Paldea Evolved, we'll look at that in a moment, is quite significantly below market, which is why Destiny Rivals has managed to steal the crown from it this week. Do I think it will switch back next week? Possibly. But once we start zooming out over a long time horizon, I think that Destiny Rivals is really just going to pull ahead of everything else. Similar to how Evolving Skies did with the Sword and Shield era. I'm not saying, though, it's another Evolving Skies, because Evolving Skies, as a lot of you know, was just its own thing. It just did its own thing. It surpassed everyone's expectations. And any set that wants to follow in those footsteps has very big shoes to fill. And I think even Destiny Rivals will struggle to fill those shoes in the same kind of time that Evolving Skies did. It's got the potential to, though. But either way, without comparing it to Evolving Skies, even if it doesn't manage to do the same sort of numbers, I think it will perform very well over the next couple of years. And if you don't hold any at the moment, I would highly recommend it. If you're looking for a set to get into, I understand the booster box is too expensive. For some people, there are other products that you can get into. The bundles are a good, cheaper way to get into it. Or the Elite Trainer boxes. The Elite Trainer boxes look fantastic as well. This is the normal one here, which is in black. And then the PC ETB is obviously the reverse in red. We're fortunate enough to own basically every Destiny Rivals product at the moment, or at least the main ones, the booster box, the ETB, PC ETB, booster bundles, etc. Very fortunate to be in that position, but that's because we moved early on the set and we picked up stuff when it was really cheap, when a lot of people were telling you to not do that and to wait because it's going to drop. Really didn't ever drop the booster boxes and just continued to climb. That's why you have to be really careful. We're trying to time the market with this kind of thing, and you can apply that now to stuff like Phantasmal and Mega Evolution too. Yes, it might be a little bit cheaper in the upcoming weeks or months, but it also might not be. So trying to save yourself a few extra dollars by trying to time the market, you might end up missing the play and ending up FOMOing in and then having to pay way over retail, like a lot of people missed the boat with Destiny Rivals. And that's unfortunate. It really is. Last sold in the UK, £350, right up there at all-time highs. Get a nice little case with that one. So, yeah, not too bad. Let's then talk about Prismatic Evolutions. We briefly talked about it a moment ago, saying about how it was pretty price resistant to being printed into the ground. It just hasn't had its time to run when it's been not printed into the ground. Printing has slowed down a lot more in it. There's a lot less available of Prismatic Evolutions in the wild and on the secondary market, and that's when we saw the price sort of increase a little bit from that $100 range right up to that sort of $130. We saw some sales around $140. Prismatic Evolutions is one of the easiest plays in the market. Right now, again, it's one that you're going to have to put away for multiple years, but it's shown how resistant it is to overprinting. Once this thing goes out of print, guys, it's going to follow in the footsteps of 151 and push up to over $400 a box. So I'm very confident about that. But again, we need to zoom out and look at these long-term time horizons. How long will it take for Prismatic Evolutions to go $400 a box, $500 a box? That's a difficult thing to predict, and it all depends on market conditions at the time. I don't think anyone in the market is really in doubt that it is going to go to that price point. It's just a matter of time. Realistically, to go to $400 a box, I think we're talking about 24 months, about 2 years, something like that. But like I said, time goes by so fast in this hobby. Like, if you start putting stuff away and stop looking at it, I put them either in, I've got some stuff in a storage unit, I've got some stuff in the back of a cupboard as well. And even when I first started out, you know, it was just in the back of a wardrobe. And before you know it, 2 years has gone past, and that thing's worth twice as much, or you're 50% up on it, or something like that. Prismatic Evolutions will perform very well over the long term. I am completely confident in that. It has probably the most iconic card in the era of it, with the Sunbreon, still going for an insane price. I think that Prismatic Evolutions is just going to go to the moon. And like I said, once it's at a price, I think it's just going to keep creeping up, and then that'll be that. It will just continue to go up, almost endlessly till the end of time, I think. Prismatic Evolutions to the moon for sure, holding at around about this 130 range at the moment, considering a lot of the hype in the hobby has been moving over to some of the other sets. You have been able to get some deals over the last couple of weeks, with some people dumping and getting out of it. Obviously, some people are going to liquidate what they've got, because they don't have the patience to hold Prismatic Evolutions for the next 2 years, 3 years, to see the real gains, to let it have its real run. Prismatic Evolutions hasn't even had its run yet, guys. And people will be dumping it right now to buy Phantasmal Flames, because that's a new hot thing. People in this hobby, it's all about patience, guys. Patience, 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 and you will do fine. We always say be prepared to hold products for at least 2 years minimum, just to iron out any ups and downs in the market, because the market does go up and down. It's not all positive in one direction. It's not all up, 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 up. There will be ebbs and flows, but when you zoom out over a longer time horizon of multiple years, that's why we say 2 years minimum, generally you're going to be up on your money. And I think Prismatic Evolutions is poised and in a perfect position to have some serious gains over the next couple of years. Last sold last week on the averages was 130, last sold now 131. So it's just holding in price point. However, you're getting deals on eBay, like I said, with some people dumping. So you can see here on a buy it now, from a retail store on eBay, 145, which is right up there at all-time highs. However, you can see here the dump on 2 days later, on an auction, 112. So that's quite a difference in price, because where it's not worth a whole load of money, it's worth 130, 140. The difference in that kind of dollar price is quite a significant percentage change between an auction of someone dumping and a retail store just selling it for market, essentially. So there are deals to be had if you know your prices. Like I said, people's attention is moving onto stuff like Mega Evolution and stuff, and Phantasmal Flames, and that's only going to happen more and more as some of these other sets start coming out. But Prismatic is going to start creeping. That being said, there will be deals with people dumping it that don't have the patience, because it's not moving as fast as they would like it to. Last sold in the UK, 118 on an auction, or 125 on a buy it now. And again, new listing tag, 125, nice minty box. Someone knew that was a good deal, bought it out straight away. They didn't want to stalk an auction. They knew 125 was a good deal, especially when the sale before it earlier that day was 133. So you can already see £8 off. Nice deal. Right, moving on then. Let's talk about Journey Together. Journey Together is in a kind of rough spot right now, and so is Surgeon Sparks. Journey and Surgeon are fighting for the bottom of the market right now as the cheapest booster boxes in the Scarlet and Violet era, which is kind of crazy to say, to be honest. You can see from the charts here, prices are really just continuing to decline on Journey. We did call it over the last couple of weeks that Journey is one of those sets that the market's very split on it, 50-50. It doesn't matter what your opinion on Journey Together is. When we're looking at the market as a whole, it's very split 50-50. Half the market are behind it as a great set, half the market aren't sure about it. And that's where you're seeing some of this uncertainty in the market. You have more people dumping them, and again, like I said, the focus is moving away from Scarlet and Violet a little bit as Mega Evolution continues to hit it out of the park with their first 2 sets, and I think it will continue to as well with the next few sets coming up, from what I've heard is planned. And that will cause sets like this, where there's already a bit of uncertainty with them, to really tank the price on them, because there just isn't the demand for people buying them. Some people love it. Some people love Journey Together, and I don't think it's a bad set at all. I think that people really misunderstand me sometimes when I say things like Journey Together is a mid to slightly better than average set. Some people get offended and come down into the comments and say, "Oh, that's my favorite set. You don't know what you're talking about." I'm not talking emotionally about the set, not at all. Whenever I'm saying things like that, I'm talking purely from an investment standpoint of view and a data standpoint of view, and also from where I think that the emotion of most of the hobby is coming from, the market sentiment of this set. And I'm telling you, it doesn't have the support and the backing like a lot of people think it does. There are a lot of people that are very unsure about this box. Sorry if you can hear motorbikes and stuff in the background. I don't know how much of that is coming through on the mic. Like I said, busy Saturday morning, living in a very city centre area. I've actually put some filters on my mic over the last couple of weeks. I don't know if you guys have noticed, so hopefully background noise has been reduced a little bit, but obviously when I'm talking, I don't know if it's still cutting it out or not. So apologies if you are getting any background noise or feedback on that. Let's have a look then at prices. Like I said, it's had a bit of a fall from grace. It was right up there at the 263 average price point back in mid-October, but we were seeing sales way over that. We were seeing sales of like 270, even 280 for Journey Together. Last sold is 242, really low. And this is something that I wanted to point out to you guys, which is what I'm going to talk about with market manipulation in the Sword and Shield era. It's flooding into Scarlet and Violet a little bit as well. And this mainly happened over the last 2 days. Look at this, $44 for Journey Together. That is not a real sale. And it's people trying to influence these charts to trick people into dumping product for lower. Now, that might only be one sale there, but what these people are doing is they're focusing more on Sword and Shield. I think this is just a test that they did on Journey Together. We are seeing lots of sales, both on eBay and on TCG Player, and I'll get into this in a moment. Once we start looking at Sword and Shield, we're seeing multiple sales for multiple sets at $44. And on Sword and Shield, it's crazy. You'll see like a whole load of listings for that price, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to influence the charts and bring down that average market price while everyone's attention is on Phantasmal Flames and stuff. I'm catching them in 4K. We're going to go into it deeper once we get to Sword and Shield. And I'm going to tell you what I think they're trying to do and why I think there's going to be a massive play happening over the next few weeks. Anyway, let's carry on for now. 250 last week on the averages, 242. So down $8, which is what, like 5%, something like that on Journey Together. But like I said, it's fighting surging for one of the cheapest boxes. 242 is really low for a Scarlet and Violet box, for a set that I don't think is one of the worst sets of Scarlet and Violet either. Like I said, I think it's an average to above average set, but it just doesn't have that support in the market yet. I think it will grow a lot more in popularity in time, especially when it starts going out of print. I think that it will perform fine. Last sold on eBay US, look at this, $230 for an enhanced box. What are we talking about, guys? $230. New listing tag, someone knew that was a good deal. That's why you subscribe down below to never miss an opportunity, because I will always let you know about these plays. Who else is on here letting you know that Journey Together is crashing down to $230? Who on YouTube is letting you know that each and every week? And it's not just Journey Together. I'm letting you know about every single set. People aren't making plays in the sealed market without me realizing and without me guys telling you. I'm even spotting, like I said, the market manipulation and a big move that's about to happen in Sword and Shield that's coming real soon that no one's ready for and no one's talking about yet. Anyway, Journey Together, actually not the cheapest box at $230 this week, the second cheapest box. And unfortunately, It's actually Surgeon Sparks, which is the cheapest right now. Last sold in the UK, non-enhanced version, 185 quid. And then enhanced version going for 185 as well. So scoop up a deal on the enhanced one if you can. That is a crazy price for Jenny Together in the UK. Anyway, Surgeon Sparks, let's talk about it. Surgeon Sparks is now the cheapest booster box in the Scarlet and Violet era, and it's absolutely nuts that it is. It does not deserve to be there. I put Surgeon even as a better set than Journey Together. The trolls out of the Pokemon YouTube community will be having a field day with Surgeon Sparks, because there are certain content creators that said that it's Vivid Voltage Part 2 and it's doomed to fail, and Pikachu sets do rubbish and stuff like that. I think that this is very temporary, and this is an excellent opportunity to pick up Surgeon Sparks for a massive discount. Let's then have a look at prices. Last week it was at 238 on the averages. Last sold 217. So that is down $21. 21 on 238. 238. Surging down 8.8% this week, and like I said, it is the cheapest box now in the Scarlet and Violet era, and it doesn't deserve to be that at all. Look at this, last sold in the US, nice minty box, $219 on a buy it now as well. That is so disgustingly cheap for Surging. Fantastic deal, whoever scooped that one up. Like I said, guys, attention is moving on. We're moving on to the next era. Watch these sets. Okay, they've still got time to run. They've still got time to be printed. They're not going to go out of print for a little while. But 219 is an incredibly strong deal for this. Will it drop further? Yes, you may see some boxes go down to that $200 range. I don't think many of them will. However, put that away. Couple of years, I think you're going to do very well out of that. I think Surgeon is a massively undervalued set at the moment and does not deserve to be one of the cheapest sets of the era. Last sold in the UK, £219, new listing tag. Two of them bought out from the same seller, one this morning and one last night. So there you go. Great opportunity to buy into Surgeon. Let's talk about 151. 151 Elite Trainer Box. We talked about it very briefly when we talked about Prismatic Evolutions. I think that it's really paved the way for Prismatic Evolutions and where I think that that's going to go long term. Been holding at about this $400 price point for quite a while now. It seems pretty crash resistant. Last sale actually down there at the 358 mark. But if we look at last sale last week, was actually at 400. So really, but then we're seeing sales there from less than a week ago for 479. I think it's an excellent opportunity to buy in at that price point. It seems really, really cheap. Let's just calculate that out. So that is $42 down on last week on the 400. 42 divided by 400. 151 Elite Trainer Box down 10.5%. We did call it over the last couple of weeks, saying that the bigger sets do have room to bleed as the attention moves away from them. We said that we're expecting to see leg downs of 10-15%, and it's quite surprising to see 151 actually sell for as low as that, in that sort of 360 range. I think that you're getting a fantastic bargain for that kind of price point. And I think that once it's back up over $400, which I don't think it will take long to bounce back up to, I don't think it'll ever go below that again. And I think it'd be quite an easy run up to $500. But we're talking, 6 months, something like that, 6 months to a year for it to hit that $500 range. Perhaps a lot less than that. It is definitely possible. $360 last sold in the US, and I think it's very unlikely we're going to see any more reprints of 151 Elite Trainer boxes. I think we're done, and that's why I'm surprised to see the price go as low as this over this week. But we'll keep an eye on it each and every week like we always do, keep you posted. Last sold in the UK, a smidge under 300 quid, about 300 with postage. New listing tag, again, someone bought that out straight away because earlier in the day, yesterday. Buy it now, 330. So someone got more than 10% off there on that buy it now, compared to literally just the last sale earlier that day. Lots of deals to be had in the market if you know your prices and you're confident in them. Paldean Fates, another situation where we're just seeing it come down off of its all-time high. I think, again, very unlikely for it to get reprinted. I think it's a fantastic set. We say it each and every week. I think it's got two of the best cards of the era in it, with the Bubble Mew and the Charizard. And I just think it's crazy that it's dropping down in price. Excellent opportunities to buy. Last week it was at 265. Sale there for 215. But these are averages, and some of these average price charts are really, really out of whack. So let's have a look at last sold. Look, last sold last week, we were at, let's see, 220, and now it's selling for 215. So that chart looks like it's down heaps, but it's actually only down $5. Yes, it's down a bit from its all-time high, around about that $300 range, but I don't think it'd be long until it's testing $300 again and beyond, especially once 151 starts pushing up over 500, which I expect it to do probably about mid-2026. Let's then, and like it's, let me just like say for a moment, right? When you're saying like mid-2026, it seems like a long way away. It's not. We're talking like 6 months, guys. 6 months realistically is no time at all. We'll get Christmas and New Year's out the way. That's coming around the corner quick. I mean, it's what, New Year's in what, 6 weeks? And then we're into 2026. 6 weeks is nothing in time. And then a few months after that, we'll be in spring. A few months after that, we're in summer. And that's when I think we're going to see a real big surge up in prices with stuff like 151 and Paldean Fates, and really pushing through new all-time highs. Last sold in the US, $250, which is mad because it peaked at around $300 not that long ago. I don't think they're going to make any more of it. Even if they do make more of the Elite Trainer box, it's not going to be significant enough to push the price up more. Yes, you may be able to get one for 240, maybe 230 over the next couple of weeks if people are dumping. But I'm not going to miss that play to maybe make an extra $20 on something that I'm going to double my money with over the next couple of years. It's all about perspective. It's all about zooming out and having that patience. Last sold in the UK. Look at this, 325 quid. I don't even know what that is in dollars, but that is a significant amount of money. Should we calculate it out? Let's do it. Why not? 325 in USD. $427 is what we're paying for it over here in the UK. Just goes to show, yes, they are completely different markets. But just goes to show you guys. Just goes to show. Make of it what you will. Let's then talk about Twilight Masquerade. Twilight Masquerade has been bleeding a little bit as well, again, like we predicted. But look at this fall off on the charts, okay? That is not true with what's going on. It's dropped a little bit, yes, but people are influencing these charts, and these average price charts are going crazy. We're starting to, as we go through the episode, you're going to start to see more and more manipulation, and then once we get into Sword and Shield, it starts getting crazy. Let's see, last sold in the US, what am I talking about? Last sold. Last week, average price 306. This week, last sold 295. So actually only down $11, which is 4%, 4.5%, well within that range of what we expected, the 10 to 15% bleed between now and Christmas. However, look, more sales for $43, guys. Trying to push those averages down. Like I said, it's only down $11, but the chart, look, looks like it's falling off of a cliff because you're getting all these fake sales of, look, $43, $43, $43. And you start to see it more and more, and they're specifically picking sets where there's not that huge amount of like instant demand. Yes, they're solid sets, but there's not everyone on the secondary market is rushing to buy Twilight Masquerade right now, is why they're starting to play around with these figures. And I'm catching them do it this week. This is all the same date as well. Look, 13th 13th, 13th. It was the same with the Journey Together. It was all on the 13th, these $43 sales. That is a day and a half ago. Okay, this is live market manipulation as it's happening. Last sold in the US 260, 250. That's really low compared to where it has been recently, but I do expect it to fall a little bit more between now and Christmas. Last sold in the UK 230, with another one going for 220. Significant savings on Twilight Masquerade, and that's the way you need to look at it. It's significant savings on these sets. It's not that it's crashing. It's not that you're getting massive corrections or anything like that. All you're getting is it's just demand is just moving away a little bit to the new hot thing. It will come back. It will flow back. You need to look at what happened with Sword and Shield to understand with where these sets are going to go next. Okay, you need to look at stuff like Brilliant Stars and Silver Tempest. Those are top 5 sets, but not the top sets of Sword and Shield. They still go up in price. The same will happen with Twilight Masquerade once it goes out of print. Okay, it's going to follow in the footsteps of Brilliant Stars and Silver Tempest. Again, Twilight Masquerade is up there. Top 5 booster box sets. Easy. When you're talking about just booster box sets, easily top 5 out of Scarlet and Violet. I think it's going to perform fine. I think it's going to push over $500 plus. It's just going to take a little bit of time and for it to go out of print. Okay. Let's then talk about Paldea Evolved. So Paldea Evolved, it's full from grace. It's no longer in the #1 spot for most expensive Scarlet and Violet booster boxes. And you can see on the charts here the steady decline from the peaks of the start of October, when it was up there at an average price of $476 a box. Technically still in print, guys, by the way. Very unlikely that it's going to get reprinted, but technically still in print. Last week we're looking at prices of $396 on the average, and this week we're seeing $390, $384. Like I said, that and Destined, both of their last sales on TCG Player. Destined was $389. Paldea is $390, but once we actually start looking at secondary markets for the last sold, it's as low as $330 on eBay. Now that is from an auction, but obviously Destined last sold was $380. So I'm putting Destined, I'm giving it the crown. I'm going off of the eBay figures because that's quite a gap. That's a $50 price gap between last sold of Paldea and Destined. I kind of expected it to happen. I didn't really expect it to happen this quickly, though. I think that Paldea has had a bit too much of a price correction than it should. But yeah, I think it will continue to go up over time. And I do think that it's up there as one of the top booster box sets. So I think it will perform fine over time. Obviously getting hard carried by the Magikarp. Ignore this one down the bottom here. This is just a Spanish version. Obviously foreign sets do go for a lot less money than the English sets. So Paldea down quite a bit. Let's go off of TCG prices here and work out exactly how much it's down. So from $396 to $6 is 2%, almost dead on. Not a massive amount, but yeah, steadily bleeding out a little bit, like we said it probably would do between now and Christmas. And I think it will continue to the January, February sort of range when we start to get a bit more confidence and a bit more flow into the market. And then I think it will start pushing up and contesting these prices again in the start of 2026. Let's have a look at last sold in the UK then. Last sold in the UK for £315. We're briefly going to talk about Stellar Crown because we don't always talk about that. Stellar Crown has had its TCG Player chart broken for nearly 2 months now, which is kind of crazy. Sort it out, TCG Player. How dare you not provide me with free data? The data's still here though if you log into it. Really not that much sales activity going on with Stellar Crown, and that's why Stellar Crown is a set that you've really got to watch, because that kind of sales activity and the amount on the market is only going to decrease as time goes on. Sometimes some of these sets that are almost less desirable or less thought about less of them get put away as sealed, and that means that they just do well over the long term because there's less to buy. It becomes very much a seller's market as time goes on, because there are very few nice ones available at any point on the secondary market for a decent price. Over the next sort of zooming out over the next sort of 5 years, what's going to be on eBay for Stellar Crown sealed? And there's always a demand for every set, because there will be people that still want to master set it, and there will still be people who want the chase cards. And it's very much a thing that people want one of every box as well in an era. So there are always going to be people that will want a Stellar Crown sealed box. And just keep an eye on it, because I think that it's a real creeper set. And given enough time, I think it will perform very well, because I don't think a lot of people are putting it away. I like Stellar Crown. I do hold quite a bit of sealed Stellar Crown because I managed to get it for cheap. It was going for below retail for a very long time, Stellar Crown. And I'm glad I kept hold of mine. So let's have a look. Last week it was $250. This week it's $264. So it's up $14 on actual sales on TCG Player, which is not hugely significant. But when other sets that are less desirable, when you're getting right. When you're getting Surgeon Spark selling for like $220, and then Stellar Crown is going for $264, I think that Surgeon's underpriced, and I think that people aren't paying enough attention to Stellar Crown. Obsidian Flames is very much the same as well. Let's talk about Obsidian Flames. Bit of a creeper set. Not a set that everyone thinks about as a good investment vehicle straight away in their mind. When you think about the top sets to invest in the Scarlet and Violet era, you think about the big boys, your Destined Rivals and your Prismatic and stuff like that. Not everyone thinks about Obsidian Flames, and again, Obsidian Flames is one of those creeper sets. It's still holding a decent value. Yes, it has come down a little bit, as most sets have from that October range, but it's still one of the most expensive sets in the era, actually. And it's one of the oldest too. What is it? Is it SVO3? I think it's the third set. That's off the top of my head. I can't actually remember. It came out right after Paldea Evolved, right? I seem to think Paldea Evolved was SVO2, I think. Base was obviously SVO1. I think it was. That's off the top of my head though. Anyway, 297 last week. This week, oh look, last sold from the 13th as well. It was all on the 13th. This person's making this manipulation. Look, another box sold for $47. Trying to mess up the charts. Last sold $300. So actually, although it looks like the chart's going down, it's actually up $3. It's up like 1%, which is negligible, We always say anything sort of like 2 to 3% is just like normal market swings. So we'll say that Obsidian is actually flat this week. Considering some sets are bleeding quite a lot, that is something that we need to start paying attention to. Let's then move on to the big boys. Let's move on to Sword and Shield era, Evolving Skies. And this is where we're going to start to see a lot of market manipulation happening at the moment. Not necessarily on Evolving Skies, but just the Sword and Shield era in general. I haven't decided yet what I'm going to title this video yet. I'm in two minds whether to title it about this market manipulation, because where a lot of the manipulation is in the Sword and Shield era, obviously you've got to get to this point in the video before I start talking about what's in the title. So I might just go with a normal generic title or not. But for you guys that actually spend the time or watch all of this content, this is the focus of what I really wanted to start talking about this week. There is massive manipulation going on with Sword and Shield right now. If we talk about what happened earlier in the summer, we saw a big leg up in price on all of the Sword and Shield sets. And yes, some of them corrected down a little bit afterwards, but nowhere near as much as they pumped. It's important to understand that where Sword and Shield sets there are no more of them, and there is a limited amount of them on the secondary market. It is very easy for someone to throw some money around, or a group of people throw some money around and leg up the price again and make a massive amount of money. And I think that it's going to happen again. And I think we're seeing the early signs of that now, with them trying to manipulate the prices down by doing all these junky $43 sales. Okay. I am calling it right now. I think I'm probably the first person to call it here on YouTube. Early 2026, we're going to see another big pump like we did here. Let's zoom out on the chart. This range, and you can see it on all Sword and Shield sets. You can load up any Sword and Shield set basically on TCG Player. We saw this big pump in the summer for all of the sets. This big pump, a lot of them got bought out. You can see it a bit easier on some of the other sets we'll show you in a moment, but a lot of them didn't price correct down, and it happened overnight. You guys will probably remember Fusion Strike jumped from like $400 a box right up to like $800 a box. It nearly doubled overnight. Same with Lost Origin, same with Astral Radiance, same with Brilliant Stars, same with Silver Tempest. Someone bought out all of them in a very, very planned and organized manner. I think that it's about to happen again. When it's going to happen, I can't tell you. I can't tell you whether it's going to happen in 7 days, 14 days, 2 months, 3 months. I think though, worst case scenario, early 2026. So by March, I think we're going to see the same thing. An overnight buyout of everything Sword and Shield that's good. Evolving Skies, Fusion Strike. And I'm not just talking about 1 or 2 boxes of each. I'm talking about a complete buyout. They just clean all of eBay. Take all of that off the market. I really do think it's coming. And that's why you're starting to see these price manipulations happening. Let's have a look at prices then on Evolving Skies. Evolving Skies, we're not going to do average prices on TCG Player because there's just not enough sales. You see like 2-3 sales over the week. Last sold, $2,300. Let's have a look at eBay then. eBay, this is low, guys. Look at this. Okay, this is kind of crazy. So, 2,100 last sale, which is, you know, auction, kind of a little bit low compared to where things have been, but we did say these bigger sets have got more room to bleed. But look at this one from yesterday, 1,800. That is the cheapest that we have seen for a very long time. And I actually looked into this particular sale. This is it here, because I wanted to look into it, because the guy has 0 feedback, 0 sales. He had 2 of them sold. And I thought that looked a little bit fishy. But when you go through all of his photos, they look legit. They look like nice sealed legit boxes. And what's interesting is, although it's upside down, we can actually see a sales invoice from TCG Player. Now, I know you can mock these together, but I don't think it goes that deep. Mateys is just cashing out on his investment. And let's have a look what he bought this Evolving Skies box for. This is interesting. We'll have to read upside down. But this is from TCG Player. The date on it is very interesting. August 22nd, 2021. That is the release, or just after the release of Evolving Skies. He bought 1 box for $151. He paid retail for Evolving Skies, so I would not be worried about this price point that things are crashing. He just wanted a quick sale. He's just liquidating out. He would be happy to sell that for $1,500 if he was going to get the money, because he is up so much on his money from $151. It just shows the power of how this hobby can build wealth. It really can. And Evolving Skies, that's not going to happen on every set. Okay, Evolving Skies, like I said, is an anomaly. I have to really carefully say that because I have trouble saying that word. Anyway, don't expect this to happen with every set. It is completely, no one saw this coming with Evolving Skies. Okay, I even queued up for the pre-release event for Evolving Skies. I queued up at a store that doesn't even exist anymore. It shut down, it went out of business. But I was there hours before the doors opened. I was third in the queue because even I knew before release Evolving Skies was something special. We all knew it was on release, but none of us expected it to perform as well as it has. Let's, for fun, calculate out how much profit this guy made over. So it's from August 2021. So yeah, just over 4 years. He held this box for sealed. So he sold it for 1,800. He paid 151, and yeah, divide that by 151 times it by 100. This guy made a $1,092 profit. And again, I think he's stupid selling it for that price because it's a minty box as well. And I think that Evolving Skies is going to become a 10k box over the years. It's going to take multiple years. It might take 10 years for it to get there. I don't think it will take 10 years, but it might take up to 10 years to get there. But that's where I think we're heading eventually. But yeah, bro cashed out. He's happy with his 1,092% profit. Fair play to you. You can get a little applause for that. I won't clap in front of the microphone because that will destroy all of you headphone viewers. So yeah, would not worry about this $1,800 sale. Like I said, looked into it. It's just guy cashing out. He paid retail for it, so fair play. 21 is a little bit low, but it's just normal winter bleed. Like we said, I expect this to push on and contest all-time highs into 2026. So last sold in the UK, 1,600 quid. Not too bad, not too shabby, nothing to worry about. Fusion Strike, on the other hand, Fusion Strike is crashing. Oh no, Fusion Strike is crashing. There's a thumbnail. It is and it isn't. It is correcting down in price a little bit. I think it's massively undervalued. I think this is $1,000 box all day long. Like I've said with a lot of these other sets, prices are coming down a little bit, mainly because it's winter and because a lot of people are cashing out and taking profit and investing that into the new sets. And maybe they're not investing, maybe they're just cracking or opening it or whatever. But yeah, Fusion Strike is down quite a bit this week. Let's have a look. Last week it was at 987. This week it is at 874. Let's just have a look though. So you've only had 3 sales over the last week, and if we ignore the averages and go off the actual figures, it's 939 down to 874, which is still significant, but not as much as those average figures. So 939 to 874, let's calculate that out in my head. That is a $73 price reduction. Let's do a percentage on that. 73 divided by, what was that, 939. So it's down about 7.7% Fusion Strike, and it's just on sale. Like I said, it's $1,000 box all day long. There's no way in my eyes that it doesn't contest that into 2026 and push on to all-time highs. Last sold in the US, look at this, on an auction, 810. 810 is mad cheap. Someone got a crazy deal for that. Like I said, I value that at $1,000. When you start zooming out, it is $1,000, definitely. Temporarily, yeah, it's dipping and people are panicking and dumping and that kind of thing, but 810 is a crazy good deal. Look at this. Even the sleeved is going for $20 for the Gengar. That is quite significant. What does that even calculate out at a booster pack price? 20, what am I doing? Divide. Let's start that again. 20 times, I did divide again. I'm too used to doing divide. 20 times 36. That would put it at $7.20 a box. Interesting. I remember when you could pick these up for like $4 or $5, and I was screaming at people to buy them because they were on Pokemon Center for ages. These sleeved packs. Sleeved packs are actually a decent way to buy into product if you don't have a lot of money. I hold a lot of sleeved packs, and I'm a big fan of them, and they're easy to sell, like easy to post to, and they're quite well protected as well in those little things, and they stack really nicely in boxes. I'm a big fan of sleeved packs. I hold a lot of them. I hold a lot of Sword and Shield sleeve packs as well. I hold a lot of Evolving Skies sleeve packs too. Yeah, love them, easy to sell. Good way to get into a product if you can't afford buying a booster box. Obviously, booster box is king though. It's the most desirable product. Let's then have a look at last sold in the UK. 590. Another one going for 600. A little bit off of all-time high, but not that far off when you talk about UK prices. Let's then have a look at Lost Origin. Lost Origin last week on the averages are 777. Oh look, what's last sold on the 13th, guys? $41. What do you reckon the chances are, guys, that someone sold a sealed Lost Origin booster box for $41? I think it's quite unlikely. Again, they're just trying to influence these charts, guys. Be very careful. Let's have a look at actual last solds then. Last sold 690, and then last week we were so we've only had 2 sales over the last week, and it was at 700, so it's down $20, which is barely anything compared to the cost of it. That's like what, 4%, just over 4% on Lost Origin to reduce down. Not as bad as it looks on the charts. Again, I think it's going to be $1,000 box. It's going for 680. Crazy opportunity to buy into these. Last sold on eBay, a little bit more closer to where market should be, $700, 685, 689. See, they can manipulate things on TCG, but they struggle to manipulate things as much on eBay. But we will see more manipulation coming up. Last sold in the US, or sorry, in the UK, 598. And look at this. Talk about manipulation, right? Look at this below it. Lost Origin. And so, oh, okay, it's Brilliant Stars and Lost Origin. Never mind, I'm being stupid. Because they said Lost Origin, and then it's a photo of a Brilliant Stars, and then it went for $9.14. But it's actually 2 boxes for sale. Okay, ignore me. Right. Astral Radiance. Let's talk about Astral Radiance. Astral Radiance is slowly creeping up. We need to zoom out a bit on Astral Radiance to get a gauge on what's really happening on Astral Radiance. As you can see, it had this dip down in price. This was the big leg up in the summer that we talked about, where all the boxes got bought out. It price corrected down a little bit, and now it's contesting all-time highs as well. I still think you're getting really good value for Astral Radiance. Astral Radiance holding at $400. To put things into perspective, $400 is what a 151 Elite Trainer box is in a completely different era for an ETB compared to a booster box. Kind of nuts when you put it that way. I think Astral Radiance is still a very good buy at $400, and it's poised right at its all-time high when market conditions aren't 100%. They aren't as good as they've been, and it's right up there at all-time highs. Good buy, Astral Radiance, in my opinion. Right. Brilliant Stars. If you look at this chart, looks like it's falling off of a cliff. Brilliant Stars, Silver Tempest, Lost Origin and Fusion Strike a little bit, but mainly Brilliant Stars and Silver Tempest. We're seeing a lot of TCG player market manipulation happening here. Like I was saying, once you start to see these charts fall off of a cliff like this, you know that something's up. Okay, let's analyze this and get into this. Last week, 491 on the averages. Look at all these sales here. Look, again, on the 13th, $45, $42, $45, $45. They're playing with the numbers on TCG Player. And I feel like whoever's doing this, because they've done it over multiple sets, all on the same day, I think they're testing the waters for another big buyout. I really do. I'm calling it here. Look, like we saw here in the summer, here and here. No, that's the big leg up there on Brilliant Stars. We saw it on all the top 5 sets. Top 6 sets, really, if you include Chilling Rain and stuff as well. I think they're going to do it again, and they're just going to try and crash it as low as possible beforehand. I think that they're in a buying phase right now. I think that they are slowly buying and acquiring and trying to get the price down lower so that they can stack their bags a little bit more before the big buyout. Because when they do the big buyout, and they take everything off of eBay for like a whole week, that's going to shoot the price up. And everything that they've bought now down at these lower prices, they're going to make massive money on. I'm calling it now. It's happened before. I always thought it was going to happen with Sword and Shield, even before the summer leg up. But seeing it already happen once before at the start of the summer, there is nothing to stop it happening again. And I'm telling you, it's getting easier and easier for them to do, because there's less and less of these boxes on the market and less of these minty ones on the market. I honestly think they're starting to buy them all out. I think they're getting ready for a big move, and what they'll do is they'll buy them out slowly over the next couple of months, because then they can buy it out without the price moving too much. And they'll also do all this nonsense manipulation stuff as well. They'll also do all of this to counteract their buying, to make it look like the price isn't going up. And then when they decide to pull the trigger, they'll just buy everything off of eBay and everything off of TCG Player, and we'll see a big 20-30% jump on all of these 5 big sets. They might leave Evolving Skies out of it, because that's going to be more expensive for them to manipulate, but they did make a move on it last time. I think whoever did it last time, I personally think it's a group of people. It wouldn't take a lot of money in the grand scheme of things to do that. I was trying to look at it in the summer and work out how much money they spent to do that big move and that big buyout, and I estimated that it was probably about $500,000. Now, $500,000 sounds like a lot of money to me and you, but in the grand scheme of things, it was almost like printing money for them. It's an infinite money glitch, because they know that if they buy everything out instantly, the market goes crazy, it FOMOs, the price jumps, and then they can just slowly dump it off. They made a lot of money out of that, and I think they're going to do it again. Why would they not do it again? And I just get the sense where we're seeing a lot of this manipulation. I just feel like it's linked. I feel like we're seeing the early signs of a setup for another big leg up on Sword and Shield, another big buyout. Really do think it's going to happen. Anyway, if it does happen, you can come here first. Comment down below. I'd love to hear you tell me all about it, and we'll talk about it obviously on videos. Last sold in the US. See, this is kind of crazy as well. Prices are going a bit all over the place here. 568 from Austria, way over market for Brilliant Stars. 14th of November. 405 auction. What's the swing on that? That's absolutely ridiculous. That's a $163 swing between 2 sales, and the expensive one was an import as well. Just a bit weird, guys. There's weird stuff going on. 436, but from the UK. Here's where market is. Market from yesterday, 2 sales, 480, 478. That's where I would expect it to be. I'm telling you, there's weird things going on with Sword and Shield right now. We'll obviously keep an eye on it and keep you updated each and every week like we always do. Make sure you subscribe down below to never miss an opportunity, and please do smash that like button. It really does help me out. Last sold in the UK, 345. That's about what I would expect market to be. Also, be careful with Brilliant Stars as well. There are some pretty good fakes out there now with Brilliant Stars. I'm not saying that's a fake box. The colours just look a bit weird though on that. I think it's just the camera that's doing that, but those colours look a little bit too bright to me. I think it's just the white balance on the camera though. I really do. It's showing like the colours a lot cooler than they should be, like a lot more blues and hues and less yellowy. The more I look, I think that is, yeah, that does look like a legit box to me. But just be careful. Be very careful out there, especially where the price is starting to go up on these things. Brilliant Stars is one of the more faked boxes out of the Sword and Shield era. The most common faked boxes are Fusion Strike, Brilliant Stars are the 2 most common that I've seen faked. And the fakes are getting better every day, so just be careful. I do think that's a legit one though, but the photo just looked a bit off. Do you know what I mean? It looked a little bit too crisp that one. Usually you can spot the fakes because they don't look quite right, but the colors just looked a little bit too blue there. Let me show you another one so you can see what I mean. Do you see what I mean? Like it's just like a little bit less blue on the front. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just my eyes. I think that they're both legit boxes. But yeah, sometimes it's just in the camera as well. But just be careful. Let's then talk about Silver Tempest. Silver Tempest has come down in price a little bit as well. I think Silver Tempest is going to be one of these boxes that's heavily manipulated as well. If we zoom out, we can see that this was the big leg up in sort of May, June sort of time. And we see a leg up here in August as well. I think that Silver Tempest will perform very well over the long term. And you're getting it on sale off of its all-time high. Last sold $415. Last week it was averaging about $454, something like that. So technically it's down, what, like nearly $40, 8-9% on Silver Tempest. Good deals to be had on it. Last sold in the US, what? $649. See, there's so much weird stuff going on right now. What? Like, let's just look at the range of prices here on Silver Tempest, right? $649, which is like $150 plus over market, sold on a bite now. New listing tag as well, which is suspicious that someone would instantly buy out something way over market. Suspicious. And then $429, which is like what market is from the same day. And then another bite now, new listing tag, $359, which is way under market. Prices are all over the place at the moment with Sword and Shield. Like I said, I think that it's the perfect storm is brewing for a market manipulation and a big buyout. Even if they haven't planned it yet, there's no way they can ignore this kind of spread in price. Okay, from $350 to $429 to weird sales like this at $650. Like, people just don't know what the price should be right now for Sword and Shield. And there's not a lot of it on the market in the grand scheme of things. If you're dropping $1 million, you can buy out a lot of sets and everything that's on there. And what's going to happen? It's just going to bump the price up and you can sell them for less. I still think they're in the accumulation phase there. I think that if my theory's right and they're going to do it, I think they're still buying and they're still acquiring. And the move is going to happen February, March, maybe even later into the summer. But I'm calling it now early. I'm the first one to call it. 2026, we're going to see another big buyout on Sword and Shield and another big leg out. Calling it now. Maybe you can make some money off of it if you pick up a box now. Last sold in the UK, $345. Let's then talk about Crown Zenith very briefly. Crown Zenith, their chart has been broken for a little while, but let's have a look at sales. 190 sort of range. Last week it was selling for, let's see, 194. Potentially down $4, something like that, 2-3%. Again, 2-3%, normal market swings. Kind of holding at its all-time high. Yes, we saw some sales up over $200. We saw some 210, 220 for a couple of weeks, about a month ago. 200 is a good price point. I think anything under 200 for Crown Zenith is a really good buy, especially when you start thinking that some of the more modern stuff that's still in print, like Paldea and Fates, is now more expensive than Crown Zenith, or like right up there, similar sort of price. Crown Zenith is well out of print, great set, great chasers, fun set to open as well. I think that that is a big missed opportunity for people not buying into Crown Zenith now. I think that it is a great opportunity to buy. Anyway, just wanted to finish off the episode quickly with something different. Let's have a little look at Phantasmal Singles. Obviously, the set came out yesterday, so some prices are going to be inflated because people are chasing the cards and FOMOing into them. But interestingly, the gold Charizard is going for a similar sort of price as the SIR. Both of them are going in that $1,000 range, and we are seeing two sales this morning in the US, one for $950, one for $1,000 off the rip. Just think about this for a minute. Okay, when was the last time, or how many times over the last 10 years have we seen a set that the day after release, you're seeing not one, but two cards sell for the $1,000 plus range in a row? I like Phantasmal Flames. I think that this single will drop temporarily. I think that long term, this in a PSA 10 is going to be one of the big boy cards. And it's still like, there's still the gold Charizard as well to chase, which also goes for that $1,000 range. Phantasmal Flames is a nut set. And the fact that there's a lot of it about and you can buy it for a fairly decent price. Let's look at prices again. Look, $300 a box in the US. ETB going for $100. In the UK, £203 a box. Fantastic opportunity to buy into a great set, in my opinion. Anyway, just wanted to finish on that because I'm definitely very bullish on Phantasmal. I think they're knocking Mega Evolution's era out of the park. I can't wait to see what the next couple of sets are going to be. I think they're going to be something special as well. Please do hit the like button. Like button really helps me out. And there's now like hype points or something as well. You can click some hype thing. You get free hype points. They recharge automatically every couple of days. It helps support your creator and push their content out there further. So if you want to use some hype points on me as well, please do. Yeah, subscribe down below if you're not subscribed already. If you've listened to all this content and you're not subscribed yet, you are crazy. Yeah, hope you all have a wonderful day and peace.